Hi everyone, welcome to this screencast. This is your Wonder home learning assignments for pages 1 through 26 of the novel. In your exercise books, please title your page Home Learning, pages 1 through 26. There will be 4 different tasks for you to complete. I'll explain each one as we go along. Let's get started. Magic lamp. What 3 things would you wish for? Now we're talking about this because it's interesting to find out what Augie wishes for in the novel Wonder. So I'd like you to think about what 3 things you would wish for. You are not allowed to wish for more wishes. That doesn't count. So what I would like you to do is just subtitle your page Task 1 and just jot down 1, 2, 3 and then the 3 things that you would wish for. Remember, of course, that these should be school appropriate, and we'll be discussing all of this in class. Take a few minutes, pause the recording, and complete this task. Welcome back. Okay, in the part where Augie is describing the story of his birth, he mentions Doogie. Doogie Howser was a TV show in the 1980s and the 1990s, and yes, I remember watching it. It's about this genius kid who you see right here in the middle of the picture, who becomes a doctor at the age of 16. Now, what does it tell you about this doctor that when Augie was born, his parents kept calling him Doogie? Now, this is not a difficult question. Okay? I've kind of given you the answer already, but I'd like you to just write a sentence that answers that question. Remember, you don't have to write the question. You can put the question in your answer. So it can begin by saying, when Augie was born, his parents called the doctor Doogie. This tells us that, and then finish that sentence. For even more marks, do a higher analysis answer where you think about lots of things. You can think about the effect of that on the reader. You can think about the effect of that on the doctor. Maybe his parents called the doctor that in front of him. So different things for you to think about. Subtitle your page Task 2 and take a few minutes to write at least 1 sentence. Now, if you're wondering, or if you're thinking that Doogie looks a little familiar there, this is just, by the way, information. He is Neil Patrick Harris, and you probably recognize him from How I Met Your Mother, just so that you know. All right, moving on. There are lots and lots of Star Wars references in the book. When Augie's describing his childhood friend Christopher, and he says that they play with toy lightsabers, just wanted to show you an image of what these look like in case you've never seen the film. There are clips and things, of course, on YouTube if you want to become a little bit more familiar with that. Also mentions a book that he started reading when he was 6 years old. I thought this was really interesting because it's quite a difficult book for a 6-year-old. It's called Dragon Rider. I don't know if you've read it, but I know you are probably familiar with some of the other books by the same author, Ink Heart, Ink Spell, Ink Death, etc. So obviously, just by this mention about what Augie read when he was 6 years old, we know that he's a smart kid. Now, on to Task 3. It's about shoes, one of my favorite things. Augie describes Mr. Tushman's shoes. You see a picture of what they look like there. Red Adidas or Adidas shoes. And I'd like you to think about this. Are you surprised by the shoes that Mr. Tushman, the principal of the school, is wearing? And what do you think it tells us about his character, about the personality of his character, that he's wearing these shoes? I'd like you to write a PEE paragraph answering these questions. So you're making a point, you're using evidence, and that comes from the text, so look in your books for quotes, and then explain as well your evidence. If you would like higher marks, go a bit deeper of that and add a little bit of analysis. Think about the effect on the reader when we find out about Mr. Tushman's shoes. So again, subtitle on your page is Task 3. And this time, I would like you to write a PEE paragraph. Go ahead. Now, you need to be on the lookout for more references to shoes. Start thinking about why Augie might notice people's shoes. Here's an extension, so of course, this is totally optional. I thought it would be interesting to see what a pair of shoes that reflects your personality looks like. So, those of you that like to draw, design a pair of shoes that reflect your personality. Or if you don't want to draw, you could cut out pictures from magazines. Be creative. It's totally up to you, and like I said, totally optional. All right, a couple other references to explain to you. I think most of you have heard of Mr. T, but just to clue you in, he was a big-time celebrity in the 1980s. He was on the A-Team TV show. You probably have heard of the A-Team movie. He starred in Rocky. He was a boxer, and he has lots of famous little catchphrases, etc. Now, back to shoes and the character Charlotte. Augie says that Charlotte is wearing green Crocs, which you've probably seen Crocs, but here's a picture in case you haven't. And what I'd like you to think about for task 4, which is the final task, is about why Augie mentions shoes. He's also, I forgot to mention it, but he's also mentioned Mrs. G's brown sandals with purple flowers. What do you think that tells us about Augie, that he mentions people's shoes? There are several different interpretations of that. Now, for task 4, I'm going to leave the output up to you. You could do the following things to answer these questions. You could write a PEE paragraph, like you did for task 3. You could write a poem answering the questions, or write a rap answering the questions. You could write a script for a conversation that Augie has with someone else, or for a monologue. Totally up to you how you answer the questions, okay? But you need to complete task 4 on your paper. All right, all of these tasks are due on a certain date. I'm sure your teacher has told you when those are due. We'll see you in class. Thanks for watching.